there's this place in Selma where you could get them, but they made him wait for his food outside there.
I was part of the Selma March. I was one of the girls seen running across the bridge. Well, because we had also decided that we would rather die than continue to live like this.
I too was in Selma, Alabama, and I was there the night that Reverend James Reed was killed. Now the white Unitarian ministers had not been down south before, so they thought they might go out and have a little dinner and a drink right after trying something momentous like trying to cross that Edmund Pettus Bridge. But we black ministers, no, we had been down there, so we kind of knew better. And we had everything we needed right there at that hotel. To this very day, I just wish I had been there to talk to Reverend Reed before he went out that night. But I know his spirit knows that that next day we walked across that Edmund Pettus Bridge. And here, this very month, 50 years later, we walked across that bridge again and we took an African-American president with us. Reverend James Reed needs to know that his sacrifice was not in vain, and he will always be remembered. Reverend Dr. James Peters.
We know who you are.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Civil rights has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember, because I was born in the deep southern city of Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. isn't southern, silly.
Young ladies, anything south of that Mason-Dixon line in Pennsylvania is deep south. Now, I know y'all been thinking about this for a while, but I'll tell you right now, I was not born far south enough. In fact, let me tell you what it was like growing up, being black, and a little boy in the 1930s in Washington, D.C.
Can you tell me what it's to be black and a little girl in the 1930s?
Yeah.
That, too, is a very important story. We need to learn that story, too. Now, when you get done, y'all go see your grandma back there and let her tell you that story. Then you bring that story back here and you share it with us. Then we got two stories. But this one gonna be the first one you're gonna get. Like I said, let me tell you what it was like growing up, being black, and a little boy. In the 1930s in Washington, D.C., all right? Everything, I tell you right now, everything was strictly segregated. I mean everything. I didn't go to school, not even through high school, with white people ever.
Ever?
Ever. No white teachers, ever.
Ever?
Ever. Everything was strictly segregated. Now, we lived around the corner from a place called the New Line Arena. All right. Now, I remember as a small boy being beaten up by the police for committing a terrible crime.
Ooh, what kind of terrible crime?
We was only 8 or 9 years old. Well, we thought, and we did, sneak into the New Line Arena and filtered in with the crowd. But the police caught us.
We ain't done nothing.
And I remember one policeman telling the other policeman,
I thought there ain't a lot of niggers in here. Isn't that breaking the rules?
Oh no, they can come in, but only for prize fights and circuses.
oh!
Ooh.
Ah! Oh, bless you anyway. Like I said, segregation was just plain crazy. We couldn't see any ice hockey. No, we couldn't see any basketball, like I said. But as I indicated, when I was growing up, there was no such thing as blacks in an NBA.
How
Wasn't
could you
there?
have an NBA without black people?
Yeah.
There weren't no black people in baseball.
Baseball.
There were no black people in basketball, like I said. And there wasn't no black people in football either.
Football too?
segregation was an ugly, ugly part of our lives every day. No doubt. Now, when I was a young boy, another thing I did was to sell the colored newspaper, Washington Star. And in all the colored newspapers, from the Amsterdam News to the Pittsburgh Courier to the Kansas City Star to the California Eagle to the Denver, Colorado Statesman, and even the Denver Weekly News, if it had been there, they were all carrying horror stories about ugly things that were happening to black people all across this country.
Look, Mom, he's so dirty, he's black.
Now, I don't know if anybody's ever been spit on, but again, it's one of the most degrading feelings you could feel.
There was a sundown law. We never had blacks in our community. It takes people a while to grow and expand, to put how they were raised aside, to change and be open to each other.
My earliest memory was of my father running down the street with me dragging behind him because the Ku Klux Klan put out a leaflet saying they're burning crosses and all niggers better be out the streets.
I was in the back of a police car in Arkansas, and we were riding past this swamp. The policeman said, "Oh, there's a lot of niggers in that swamp. Niggers that have disappeared, never to be seen again. Boy, you just might not make it out of here tonight."
And I can see the same thing going on right here in my own hometown of Washington, D.C. Sometimes I carry my newspapers down Constitution Avenue, but I knew Constitution didn't include me. And on that same avenue, just a block south of there, at the Supreme Court, up there, and all that marble was a whole bunch of other words that didn't mean much either. Words like truth, justice, and equality.
We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
We hold these truths to be self-evident that all women were created equal.
Taking the self-worth of a little child is a heinous thing to do to a kid. But as I said, I was born in that deep southern city of Washington, D.C., and it was a deeply segregated city.